Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Is Jose Mourinho destroying Paul Pogba's return to Manchester United? Who is to blame? Paul Pogba for the lacklustre performances that we've seen recently, or Jose Mourinho for the inability to play him in a more advanced role? Is it that simple? Are there other factors in that? Is Jesse Lingard a player that's halting Pogba's attacking talents? Or is Matic making him very restricted in what he wants to do further forward? Lots to discuss. We will be taking your calls, but we'll also be talking about other things as well. First of all, I want to talk about Paul Pogba, and confidence is one word that I would definitely say is an issue. But I also want to talk about Mourinho and dressing rooms, because I think there's two sides to this, and I'm not necessarily going to take a side. I'm just going to throw things at you and you can make a decision on it. Because if Jose Mourinho loses the dressing room because of Paul Pogba, then I think Jose Mourinho... There's an interesting story about Jose Mourinho, and many of you may know it anyway. Something happened to Jose Mourinho after the Inter Milan managerial career. Before that, everything he touched was gold. And at Inter Milan, it still was gold. But when he went to Real Madrid, he won the league. But this tendency to start falling out with players from Mourinho really started to kick in. And when I say that, well, that didn't not happen before. But more like you go into a club and start attacking fan favourites. Casillas, an absolute legend at Real Madrid, dropped him. I think he fell out with Ramos as well. Ronaldo to a certain extent. Then he went to Chelsea. He had to leave Real Madrid. The position became untenable. Then he went to Chelsea and did the same thing again. Matic, funnily enough, was one of those players. Lost the dressing room again, like he did at Real Madrid, and lost the dressing room at Chelsea and ended up being sacked as the champion 3 months after winning the title. Manchester United, the press have wanted to go with this for so long, and I'm really reluctant to say this because I don't want the press to start talking about this, but they will anyway. We're powerless to stop that. I think it even started his second month with Neil Ashton in The Sun, where he said Mourinho's starting to lose the dressing room. But 18 months further on, they will start on this. They will definitely start on it. I've read it a couple of times already. In fact, I read it, I can't remember the name of the paper, but they said Mourinho's starting to lose the dressing room over Pogba. And the reality is, whatever the issue is with Pogba, if you look at Manchester United's lineup at the moment and you look at that lineup yesterday, I would say everybody's preferred Manchester United starting 11, and you may not have looked at it yet, wouldn't have at least 4 of those players starting yesterday. And apart from Eric Bailly, everybody else is pretty much fit. All right, Herrera and Rashford, but would they be in your starting 11 anyway? If you look at where a rebellion might start in relation to Manchester United, well, obviously Pogba's that key player at the moment. There's something drastically wrong with him, especially when Mourinho comes out and said he wasn't even injured. I mean, Mourinho's got a ready-made excuse there, and he doesn't. He throws him under the bus and says, no, not injured, took him off because he's not good enough, effectively. But you've got Martial, who I think would side with Pogba. You've got Matic, who doesn't seem to be very happy either. Sanchez, well, he's a winner and he wants to win. And at the moment, he needs to settle in. But you can, look, I don't want Manchester United to be that club that's sacking another manager. I don't want Manchester United to be that club where the players turn against the manager again. But something's got to give in relation to Manchester United, because it's abundantly clear that we are heading towards a car crash in relation to Manchester United and Mourinho. We cannot continue to do this. Around Christmas time, people were saying Mourinho out, and I said, give him a month, let's see what happens. We had a great January and we signed Alexis Sanchez, and everyone was like feeling positive. Maybe we could win the Champions League. How stupid we feel about that now, because a couple of losses later, and everyone's like, Mourinho's not the right man again. The team looks bereft of ideas and creativity. What's the problem with Manchester United? The truth is somewhere in between, and I keep saying this. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back with United. We will go forward and then we will go back, but it will still be progress even when we go back. But, look, I'll be honest with you now. Liverpool and Manchester City are better footballing teams than us, and that kills me to say it. They are our biggest rivals, and it kills me to say that Manchester City and Liverpool are far easier on the eye than us. They're far more entertaining, and their fans are getting far more better value for their money than we are. We are second in the league, though. We are second in the league, we are still in 2 cup tournaments, and we are still progressing, and I still believe Jose Mourinho is the man. If you offered me Pep Guardiola over Mourinho now, I would still say no, get lost. Don't even ask me that question. I'm behind Mourinho, because, I mean, you know, maybe I'm stubborn, and maybe some of you would take Pep Guardiola, but I'm not going to turn my back on the manager just because we've lost to Newcastle. You know, maybe it was one of those days at the office, but we contributed to that day at the office. You know, we didn't get ready properly, we didn't have a shave, we didn't wash our shirt. We contributed to it, but maybe it was going to be a bad day at the office no matter what, and that can happen. But massive improvement required. But I don't want Pep, I don't want Klopp, I don't want Pochettino, I want Mourinho. Whether that will be the same in the summer, I don't know. But he's got to have 2 years. He's got to have 2 years, and we've got to qualify for the Champions League. We've got to get far in this Champions League, and I think we've got to win the FA Cup. Otherwise, then questions will start to be answered. But in relation to Paul Pogba, Mourinho, whether he's doing the right things with Pogba or not, that is to be decided. But the reality is, people talk about fear factor with Manchester United, and we've lost the fear factor, and that's why teams are beating us. I don't think that's true at all. I think there's a fear factor in Manchester United's side. I think people are scared. People are too dictated to by if a team gets at us for the first 10 minutes like Newcastle did. World-class players, for me, or top-class players, are players like Harry Kane did it the other week, didn't he, against Liverpool? He missed the penalty, and then a few minutes later, his team are losing 2-1. And then a couple of minutes after that, in stoppage time, there's a penalty to get them a deserved draw in front. I don't know whether it was in front of the Kop or not, but high pressure environment. He's just missed a bad penalty. What does he do? Picks the ball up. There's loads of delays. Puts it in the bottom corner and gets them a point. There's no lack of self belief. He just does it. And taking it to the very top echelon, Ronaldo or Messi, they miss a simple chance, but they're still demanding the ball the next minute to have another chance. They're not fazed by lack of confidence. They're not phased. They might make mistakes, they might miss shots, they might put in a bad performance, but it's not because of lack of confidence, because they are confident players. They believe in themselves and they are at the top of their game. And a lot of footballers are like that. Manchester United have had them over the years. Doesn't mean they're going to play well every week, but they are confident. I look at Paul Pogba and I don't see confidence. I don't. And that's not Mourinho's fault. That's not Mourinho's fault. A top player should be able to play in a multitude of positions. I don't agree. I do agree that Pogba needs to have a more advanced role and play in a midfield three. That's how you get the best out of Pogba. Yes, I agree with that. But I don't agree that just because he's playing in a midfield two, that gives him a licence to play badly. He is meant to be a top-class player. He should still be able to do better than he did yesterday, better than he did against Spurs. They're almost petulant performances. They're almost, I don't want to play in this position, so I'm not going to put a performance in. And if you're defending Pogba over Mourinho for that, then you've got a problem, because you're putting a player over a manager of our football club. Because if Pogba's putting in bad performances because he's not playing where he wants to be, why the hell is he wearing a Manchester United shirt? Because I don't care who you are, when you put that shirt on, effort is a given. And he is a top-class talent. Potentially, Paul Pogba. But until he puts his lower lip away and stops sulking, then he needs to kick up the backside and he needs to start producing it. We know he's better in a more advanced midfield role, but at the moment, Fellaini's injured, Herrera's injured, Carrick's only back from injury. We've only got two midfielders. If Mourinho wants to play midfield two, he's got to play Matic and Pogba. You've got, the scary thing about Pogba is he's been given the responsibility of the captaincy of Manchester United, and he's putting in petulant performance like that. Petulant may be an unfair word, but he doesn't have any confidence. And if he wants to be a top-class player, confidence is a preference. It is a standard thing. You have to believe in yourself. He came out on that second half, and the reason I thought he was injured, because he was looking up the sky, breathing heavily, looking very unhappy. Now, if that's not injury, then that is an issue with him in his head. And Pogba, Roy Keane said it when we played against his brother last season in the Europa League. He said he's a player who looks too relaxed and basically not focused. He's not focused. This is Manchester United. I get the feeling with the people like Paul Pogba that, you know what, he loves playing football, but if he doesn't win, oh well, I can go and have a little dance later on. I look at people like Scholes, Roy Keane, Beckham, Carrick even. It doesn't even have to be the class of 92. I look at a lot of players in a Manchester United shirt and they don't win, and you can tell it's going to bother them for the next few days. I don't think we've got enough players like that. And I don't think Pogba's confidence levels help. He's got to get more confident. If he wants to be a top player, your form cannot be dictated to by confidence. It's a myth. Strikers strikers miss goals because they get a bit nervous in front of goal because they're going through a bad patch. But midfielders, the top players, they believe in themselves. And Pogba, for some reason, is either not trying or he doesn't believe in himself. And if he wants to be a top class player, he needs to sort that out. He needs to sort that out big time. This is a marquee player for Manchester United, and he is indicative of what United are at the moment. On our day, brilliant. But too many days, we don't know what's going to turn up, and then Manchester United struggle. And I think that is an issue in relation to Paul Pogba at the moment. So I don't blame Mourinho about Pogba. Yes, Mourinho could play him in a better position, but he can't play a midfield three at the moment. So Pogba's got to buckle down and put some performances in the midfield too. And I saw a lot of people reacting to the video I did at lunchtime saying, oh, you know, it's not true. Pogba shouldn't be blamed for not being able to play out of position. He's not playing out of position. He's playing as a bloody midfielder. He should be able to play better than he did. He is still in John Joe Shelvey's pocket. That is an embarrassment for a player of Paul Pogba's ability. And you know what? It's not just Mourinho. It's not just Manchester United. I've seen him play a few times for France and go missing as well. This is a Pogba issue. He needs to buckle up and get his foot on that pedal and start putting in the performances, because at the moment, if people are calling him a flop and having a pop at him outside of Manchester United, he's got to take it on his chin. He's got to care more, he's got to fight more, and he's got to show what many Manchester United fans have shown in him. I know, and you know, he can be one of the best midfielders in world football. He's got everything, but he's got to believe it and he's got to fight for it, and that is not Jose Mourinho's fault. Of course, Pogba can play in a midfield three better, but he should be playing a hell of a lot better in a midfield too. It's Paul Pogba's responsibility to go on that football pitch in a Manchester United shirt and put a performance in. It is not Jose Mourinho's responsibility to go out there and put effort in a Manchester United shirt for Paul Pogba. He has got to respond. I do not believe it is Jose Mourinho's fault in relation to Paul Pogba's efforts at the moment, and I would argue that with anybody. Anyway, I do want to take some of your calls because it is Skype Goldbridge, so please do drop a like on the video. Also, I just want to draw your attention to the... let's get this going. Let's get this party going in relation to this as well. Live comments are working good. I also want to draw your attention to the link in the video description, which is the Thought Mob app. It's a fantastic little football app that you can get all your information on. Just want to go to the Manchester United bit, because you follow Manchester United when you're on there. You've got all your news. Like, we've got 56 points at the moment. We've won 32 of those points at home, 24 away. You've got 17 wins, 10 at home, 7 away. But what I really want to draw your attention to is you can get all sorts of things. You can look at transfers. But I want to go to squad, because I love Anthony Martial, as many people know, and I've got a lot of stick for this. And I don't apologise for defending my favourite player at Manchester United. Not you, Fellaini. You can keep that red X next to you. Where's Anthony Martial? Well, we're classing him as a striker, but he's not. But I just wanted to draw your attention to Anthony Martial's stats this season. And there they are. Anthony Martial's stats this season are, he has scored 6 goals from inside the box, 3 goals from outside the box, 1 with his header, 1 with his left foot, 7 with his right foot, and he scored a penalty. And his shots on target is 62%, which is very good. Despite his misses yesterday, they were actually all on target. Anthony Martial's stats that I draw your attention to there: 6 inside the box, 3 outside the box, 1 with his head. They're the most diverse stats in our whole squad. All Lukaku's goals are in the box. Lingard, I think, has only scored 2 from outside the box, despite Messi Lingard nonsense. He is the most diverse player in relation to the goals he's scoring. They're from all over the place. Outside the box, inside the box, with his head. Give the lad a break. Give the lad a break. Anthony Martial is a player that I firmly believe in at Manchester United. I think if he was at Man City or he was at Liverpool, he would be up there with Sane, with Salah, as comfortably one of the best players in the league. Unfortunately, he's playing in a system that doesn't suit him. A system where we don't move the ball quickly to him or Sanchez at the moment now, quick enough. But Anthony Martial is a fantastic player, and he deserves some credit from Manchester United fans. Up until we signed Alexis Sanchez, he was our best player of the season for me. Absolutely brilliant. So consistent. Brilliant this season. Started off on the bench because Mourinho had him on the bench again. Was coming on, getting important goals. Works his way into the first team. Wins us games like he did at Burnley on his own with a 1-0 win. Absolutely brilliant. Since Sanchez has come, Martial's form's dipped. I'll put my hand up in relation to that. But is that his fault? He's out on the left wing. He's fought really hard to prove that that's his position and he should be starting there. We sign somebody and straight away Mourinho goes, get on the right. Oh, that's not good enough. Get on the bench. You're dropped. Get back on the right. You know, he's done absolutely everything on that left-hand side and it's clearly his strongest side. You can see it from the goals he's scored with his right foot. Coming in from the right-hand side with more of the goal to aim at. That's his position, and he's been shifted out to the right. Shifted out to the right for what? I mean, if his confidence is on the floor and his performances go through the floor, can you blame him? Yes, all right, he's a professional footballer and he's got to put the effort levels in, and I believe he did in the first half yesterday. But you've got to wonder what he's feeling as a footballer at the moment, where he's been shifted out of his position for a new signing. And you've got to wonder what the mentality is of our management at the moment, that we're in the middle of the season. This is not the start of a new season. Thanks for your help last season, Anthony. I want to put Sanchez on the left, and you've got the whole summer to get used to the system on the right. Because people who think switching from left to right is like toasting your bread on another side, it's exactly the same. It isn't. You basically, when you're on the left, you've got the whole of the left side of the pitch. When you're on the right, it's back to front. And Martial's got to get used to a new position, a new fullback, a new way of looking at his teammates. It's totally different for him. And on top of that, this has been done in the middle of the season. The middle of the season, we've decided to go and disrupt our best player, chuck him out onto the right-hand side, and he's lost his form. We've got a new player in who's going to take time to adjust. And we're wondering why we're now not very fluid. I mean, we weren't the most fluid team anyway, but we're wondering why. I'm baffled. I am absolutely baffled why we've done that to Martial. Disrupted his game when he was bang on form, and then we've got Sanchez who's adjusting. It would have been so obvious. Sanchez played on the right for Barcelona and was brilliant there. He's also played as a number 10. Keep Martial in his position, keep that form ticking over, and just put Sanchez at 10 or on the right wing till the summer, and then if you want to swap it round you can do. But I find that really, really odd how we did that. The FOP Mob app is the link in the video description. Make sure you download it. It's got all your interesting stats on there, so give that a go. Friend 2018 says Pogba knows something is wrong with the squad, and Jose picks average players over talented players, says Andrew Ellis. Andrew Ellis is a big non-Mourinho fan. I am a Mourinho fan, as everybody knows. I don't want him to go anywhere. I still believe he's the right man for Manchester United, but I was baffled yesterday as to why Luke Shaw didn't play. I think over the last 5 league games for Shaw and Young, with Luke Shaw we've won 4 and drawn 1. Under Ashley Young we've lost 2, drawn 2 and won 1. It's not even, like, it makes no sense. As Roy Keane said a few years ago, if Ashley Young's a Manchester United fullback, then I'm a Chinaman, and that was what Roy Keane actually said. Anyway, the Skype show is open. Let's take some of your calls. Andrew, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Mark.
How you doing?
To be honest, I'm kind of frustrated. Yesterday was not a fun day to watch Manchester United. That is for sure.
Just on the Pogba Mourinho thing, where do you stand on that? Pogba versus Mourinho. What's the issue with Pogba? Is it Mourinho's fault? Is it Pogba's fault? Is it something else? Some people think Lingard's getting in the way because he's not a number 10. Some people think Matic is too static for Pogba, not quick enough to cover him.
So I think it's an overall issue. I think that Mourinho and Pogba both need to get along. Mourinho brought him in and brought him in for a reason. It's because I believe that Paul Pogba, when he is playing the way that he should be, which right now he is not playing the way that he should be, which I don't know if that's down to he's playing in the 4-2-3-1 and he wants to be playing in the 4-3-3, or if he's just lacking confidence right now. But Paul Pogba on his day is the best midfielder in the world. He puts in passes like nobody else can. He does things that nobody else can in a midfield. Some of the control he does is just insane. And for me, when I look at the game yesterday, this is where I get really frustrated watching the game, is that we are over halfway through the season, and we still do not know what our identity is. We still do not know what our best formation is. We still do not know who our best players to play are. I feel like we as fans are seeing who need to be playing, and we are not getting those players played. Right now, I think that all of us kind of see that the 4-2-3-1 is failing overall. Whether that's because Lingard is playing at number 10 and whatever, that's a whole nother issue. But I think that when it comes down to it, a 4-3-3 where Paul Pogba can be freed up to go further forward is what's best for the team. And we're not getting that. And I am not Jose out by any means right now. But I do pose the question that if we were to fall out of the top 4 by the end of the year, and we did not win Champions League, which I doubt we're going to win it anyways, but just putting it in there that if we win it, I don't want Mourinho fired, but I want Mourinho held to the same standards that Van Gaal was. Yes, we did score a lot more goals, but if we fall out of top 4 and we don't qualify for Champions League, I'm sorry, but I think that we need to be firing Mourinho. That's just my opinion, though.
That's interesting. I'm going to throw that straight to the live comments as I was going to, as you were saying it. If we finish outside the top 4 and we don't win the Champions League, what does that mean to Mourinho as far as you're concerned as a United fan? Would that be enough for you to sack him? Andrew says yes. With regards to the performance yesterday, obviously it wasn't good enough, but I do agree with you. The style and identity is totally lacking at Manchester United. We are where we are with the squad that we've got. What would you be looking at for the rest of the season? What is the way that you want us to be set up, especially in relation to the midfield and the attack with what we've currently got?
With what we currently have, in my opinion, I think that a 4-3-3 or a 3-5-2 is what's best for the team. Now, I think that the 4-3-3 is overall going to be better because that allows us to play Luke Shaw on the left, which I think that Luke Shaw on the left is critical right now. Luke Shaw has proven himself to be the best left back on the team at this point, and it is not even a question. Then you have, when Bay is back, I think that Bay and Rojo or Bay and Lindelof both need to be playing beside each other. No offense to Smalling and Jones, but when they are able to be gone, I want them gone. And then Valencia at right back, and then maybe even put Ashley Young at right back at times. But I don't think that Ashley Young needs to be playing left back anymore. I think that Luke Shaw has more than proven himself. From there, in the midfield, I think that you can rotate Matic and Carrick, because I think that Matic is starting to show that with his age, that he is getting tired the more and more that he plays. So rotating him and Carrick in that CDM role will be perfect. Then you want Pogba on that left side of the midfield 3, and then I'm okay if Mourinho wants to try and play McTominay on the right of the midfield 3. But I also think that if Herrera's fit, that Herrera last year was honestly our player of the season. Got to give him a chance to get back to that point. And I feel like he really hasn't gotten a true run of games. And I know that Ander Herrera is one of those players that the more that he plays, the better he's going to be playing. And he can also then take some of those defensive responsibilities from Pogba. Then having Martial on the left, Lukaku up front, and Alexis Sanchez on the right, you can have Sanchez and Martial both rotate sides. If you wanted to, just have them be free-flowing. But in my opinion, to keep Martial on the left and being able to have him shoot with that right foot, because I think we all believe that if Anthony Martial was on the left side when he was going for that goal, like in that same position, that he scores that goal 100% of the time. Not even a question in my mind. But coming from the right, he just did not look comfortable trying to shoot that ball. But like I said, this is just my opinion on the team.
Thanks for calling, Andrew. Really good points.
Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, pal. Of course, Anthony Martial should have finished that chance. We all know that. But I think he certainly would have scored it if it had been cutting in from the other side. Jamie, can you hear me?
Yes.
How you doing, pal?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about that mystery signing.
All right, okay.
I know you haven't talked about it today or anything, but So I think that mystery signing is going to be Dybala, but who do you think it's going to be?
I agree with you. I think it will be Dybala. Although my only concern about Dybala or Griezmann is I've got a funny feeling they'll end up at Man City, which will expand the gap that is already 16 points anyway. I really do. Look, I think Manchester United, first of all, before we start thinking about titles, we've got to find an identity and a way of playing football, because I look at Liverpool and I look at Manchester City and I look at Spurs. They've got clear identity. They're playing good football, and that's only going to improve. We aren't doing that, and I think Man City will sign better players in the summer. But what do you think? Dybala is the sort of player we need. I mean, a lot of people are saying we don't need a number 10. We need to go 4-3-3 and get another midfielder in.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the thing is, we don't have we are business. We don't spend as much money as Man City do.
No.
Man City don't care about the money they spend.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, what I'd say to that is, look, I've been saying this all season, and I'll defend Manchester United until the cows come home. And the reality is that Manchester City do have a bigger advantage over everybody in the league, because, as we saw in January, one of my centre backs is injured. I'll go and spend 60 million, and he nearly got Mahrez as well, just because Sane was out for a fortnight. So he's got unlimited resources that nobody else has got. But what we can't argue with is that regardless of those resources, the football that they play is something that most Manchester United fans are very jealous about. Is Mourinho the man to get Manchester United playing attractive football, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think he is. I know a lot of people say Mourinho out. Just give him another year or two and he'll be... I don't think we'll win a league in that time. I think it'll be all Man City, but I think we can get second.
Second. Well, do you think we'll get second this year? Do you think we'll hang on to it? Or...
No, I think we'll go third, fourth.
Third or fourth. Okay. Great call. Is it John?
Jamie.
I'll tell you why I called you John, because it's snow, isn't it? Thanks for that, Jamie. Please do call in again.
Okay.
Cheers, pal. It's Jamie Snow, so I called him... Oh, I thought it was John. Sorry. We don't need a big lump up top for every game, says Alpo Martinez. I mean, that's a very, very good point. That is a very good point, because I'll throw this at that point. Everyone's getting on Pogba and Martial's back, and I don't agree with that. I think Pogba deserves criticism, as does Martial, but I would say this in return. Matic and Lukaku have been pretty poor for 3 months. Now, Lukaku played well yesterday, but beyond that, not that good. Never get dropped. Those two players never get dropped. But Martial, Pogba, instantly dropped for bad performances. Why does Jose Mourinho do this? I'll go back to what I said at the start. He started doing this after Inter Milan, went to Real Madrid and got this sort of issue of attacking fan favourites. Casillas, Ramos, Ronaldo. Chelsea did the same. United, he's constantly done it to Martial. He's now doing it to Pogba. He did it to Luke Shaw. What is it in Mourinho's psyche that suddenly changed at Inter Milan that made him start attacking fan favourites? And it's not as if it's worked. He lost the Real Madrid dressing room doing it. He lost the Chelsea dressing room doing it. If he loses the Manchester United dressing room, and I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to do that. But it's dangerous. He's treading on thin ice. I think the next 6 months under Mourinho, this summer, maybe like Andrew was saying there, if we don't get in the top 4 and we don't win the Champions League, is that the Mourinho done? I don't think the club will sack him. But it's not always about the club, it's the fans. And it's just think 2 steps forward, 1 step back all the time with Mourinho. He wins everybody back and then he ruins it again. I mean, I think the biggest example of that yesterday was Rojo and Shaw played really well against Huddersfield. They're dropped for Young and Jones, who lost us the points at Spurs. That was nonsensical. If somebody can come on and explain that to me, I'd love it. I really would, because I'm lost as to that decision. I don't understand it. Hello, Andy?
Hi, Mark, you're right.
Well, you can answer the question, Andy. Why, in your mind, did, after Jones and Young had lost us the game against Spurs, we played Rojo and Shaw. Rojo was my man of the match, I think, against Huddersfield. And then he drops them against Newcastle. Why did he do that, other than, obviously, Young and Jones are his preferred players?
I've got no idea. Shaw is our only natural left back, and he still persists or insists on playing Ashley Young there, who switched off after 11 seconds against Tottenham. It's unforgivable, it really is. And I just wanted to say as well, it's a little bit off topic, but I think it's a disgrace all the same. I've got a mate who's a Newcastle fan and a mate who's a Man United fan, and they both went to the game yesterday. Like, my mate who's a Man United fan, he was sat in the away end, and he said at the end of the game, 4 players went over to the away fans and clapped them. Jones, Mata, Carrick, and someone else he couldn't remember. I mean, that is a disgrace. Whether you've lost 6-0 or you've won 6-0, you always go and clap the fans, because as you heard from the fan cams, they've travelled and they've paid good money to see that, and it's abysmal, that is. And part of that is on Mourinho, isn't it? Because he can tell all the squad, go over there now and give those fans a clap. I think it's an absolute disgrace, that is.
It is, and it concerns me. I think it might have been Ashley Young, to be fair. It was either Ashley Young or De Gea, because I remember somebody in the fan cam said the 4 players. But you're right. I mean, there was something in the news today about Manchester United dominating the shirt sales for names on the back in world football, not just in Premier League. And something came to my mind. You know, for all the kids and all the blokes who've got Pogba on the back of the shirt, they may as well have played as Pogba yesterday, because you get a far more effort from a United fan with Pogba on the back of their shirt than you do from the real thing. And that's probably reflective of a lot of players. I mean, you know, I'll put my hands up. Martial went missing in that second half. But it's unfair just to pick on Pogba and Martial, because, you know, where was Matic clapping the fans? You know, a new signing, and already you think after 6 months you don't need to go and, I nearly swore, clap the away fans. But do you think this is indicative of modern football now? I mean, it's like, do they really care? Do they really care about the support?
They don't care. They're just interested in dabbing and dancing on social media. And in relation to that, I know Sophie was saying last night on the Sunday night show that, and I remember her saying it a few weeks ago as well on the Sunday night show, that she thinks it is okay for, you know, people to dab and dance when results are going well. I think it's just cringe all the same, even if they are winning. It's just that there's no players like Roy Keane or Paul Scholes in modern football anymore. Or you have to put your whole life on social media. Everyone's obsessed with social media, getting retweets and all, just nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
I'll tell you what.
For those players not clapping the fans, it's an absolute disgrace, because we've got the best away support in the country. I'm a season ticket holder myself, and every time I go to Old Trafford and it says on the advertising board, upcoming away games, sold out, sold out, sold out, whether it's in Basel, whether it's in Ukraine, whether it's down in Bournemouth, anywhere, our away fans are absolutely fantastic. We sell out anywhere we go. And for 4 players to go and clap them, that's an absolute disgrace. They deserve docking wages, but they don't care. They don't, because that's modern football.
I spoke about leadership last night, and in fairness, you know, have we got any leaders in that squad? No, we haven't. But as much as I defend Mourinho, I think one of the big disappointments for me has been his lack of leadership on the side of the pitch. I think it's very apathetic. It's something I've seen United fans level at him after bad performances. Granted, they're angry, but this whole, you live in a hotel, you're not really committed to Manchester. But look, I'm sure Roy Keane would be a disaster as Manchester United manager, because he's not necessarily set the world on fire as a club manager. But part of me would love Roy Keane just to come in as manager, because he'd absolutely annihilate that squad. He would kick it so hard up the arse, they'd be hitting Mars. And that is almost, if we're not going to get players on the pitch who do it, we need a manager who's going to do it. And we're not getting that at the moment. We're not getting the manager who walks on the pitch after that result and drags them. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson used to do it nearly every game. He'd make sure they went down to the away end. And, you know, you're right, Mourinho should be doing that. It's disappointing. But we need some leadership. We need a kick up the backside. And if players don't want to play for the shirt, we've got the biggest support in this country. And we've got a very clever support as well. And it's never really been, our club's never been about, oh, let's get Pogba in for 90 million, let's spend 150 million on somebody else. What we really want is effort and pride in the shirt. And I said this, and I don't, you know, I don't really want to go down this route, but, you know, 6 days after the 60th anniversary of Munich, where we lost a team that was built about what this club is, talent, effort, set the world on fire in relation to what they could have been, and then we put in a performance like that as the very next game. They're poles apart. Poles apart.
It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And I just wanted to, just before I go as well, quickly talk about Nemanja Matic. I remember speaking to you in August about this, saying I completely agreed with you. I didn't want him. He played fantastic for the first sort of month or two of the season. I think it's important for fans to keep behind him at this point because we're all loving it when he was playing absolutely fantastic. He's had a dip in form, but let's just get behind the team. Let's not start saying let's sell Martial. He's a fantastic player, and I saw as well. It's concerned me a little bit. I don't know if you've seen it. My mate, who's the Newcastle fan who went yesterday, tagged me in something this morning. Apparently, before the Chelsea game, in a couple of weeks, there's fans starting protests of Mourinho outside the ground. I'm just thinking, if you're part of that, just please don't, because we don't need it, especially for that Chelsea game. If you Jose in, Jose out, just don't be part of that protest, please, for the love of God.
No, very, very good point. And I think I would add in on that, and I know this is going to go down like a lead balloon, but I think some of the abuse I've seen on social media today for Chris Smalling is nothing short of a disgrace. I really do. I disagree with Flex giving him a 2 out of 10. I didn't notice him have a terrible game yesterday, and everyone seems to want to rewrite history, but it's your opinion. But how you blame Chris Smalling for that goal, for diving on the halfway line, when that long ball into the box has carried 40 yards and Matic and Pogba don't jump for it and Valencia doesn't track his man, how's that bloody Smalling's fault? I tell you what, why don't we blame the kit man for sending us out in red? You know, there's just no correlation between that goal when it's on the halfway line, a free kick. And also, Chris Smalling, as far as I'm concerned, has to keep playing till Eric Bailly comes back, because having a centre-back who's good in the air is important. And as we saw with Phil Jones against Harry Kane in that first minute, he's no good in the air. So Smalling plays because he's good in the air. You've got to have a centre-back who's good in the air. And on top of that, I'll get your opinion, Andy, as well. Because I don't mind if people don't like Smalling, but let's not rewrite history. Whilst Jones and Bailly were on the injury table yet again in November, we had a really good November, and Chris Smalling was colossal against Watford and Arsenal and Newcastle. Yeah. And then suddenly we lose away to Newcastle and everyone's saying Smalling die and never play for my club. Smalling needs a knee injury. You know, it's just disgraceful. It is disgraceful.
It's fickle fans. It's just, you know, everyone jumps on the Lingard bandwagon because he has a brilliant 10 games and now he's back to, you know, being average like he has been. Martial, I don't even think he had a bad game yesterday. He just had an off game in terms of his finishing because we know he is our best finisher. Yeah, he missed 2-3 chances, but other than that, I thought he was okay. Sanchez missed a gilt-edged chance as well. So people saying sell Martial, I mean, what are you watching? You can't judge a player off one game. You can't judge a player off 10 games. For me, it's at least half a season. If Lingard starts the season in that form and he continues it up to now, you say, oh, fair enough, he might be sort of turning a few heads here, but nah. You have to give players at least half season before you judge them, for me.
Definitely. Good call, Andy. It did not drag on, but we had you on for longer than I expected, but really good points and it flew. So thanks for calling in. I'll speak to you soon, pal.
All right, thanks, Mark. All the best.
Cheers. Yeah, really good points. And that the most important point there is that the players have got to give more for a Manchester United shirt. I think we could all agree with that. Ryan says Martial loves this club more than Mourinho, and people love Mourinho more than Martial. How does that work? Please do drop a like on the video. It is Skype Goldbridge on a Monday night, and some of the calls we've had already have been absolutely fantastic. So please support your fellow United standers and hit that like button. It's the most important video of the week to get likes on, because you are liking the community, and we've had some really good calls again. Let's have a look at what people are saying in the live comments. Smallings and Jones are just decent, but worse than about them are clumsy, says David De Gea. Look, I'm not saying. Look, I like Chris Smalling, but if Eric Bailly is fit, he's on the bench, or he's not on the bench, because maybe we don't need that many centre backs on the bench. But at the moment, Chris Smalling's the best player in the air. That's why he's playing. Let's not forget, when all the centre backs were fit, apart from Rojo at the start of the season, it was Bailly and Jones, and I think Bailly and Jones are the starting centre backs. You don't need to worry about Chris Smalling. He's playing because Bailly's injured, and nobody else is good in the air. Smalling was brilliant in November. He kept us in with a shout of winning this title, and we blew it against Man City, and that wasn't his fault. It was Lukaku's. So Smalling didn't play well yesterday. Okay, I'll admit that, but he's not been dreadful this season. Phil Jones has cost us about 10 points. So that wasn't Smalling's fault, that goal. It wasn't. And I've played football, and a lot of you have, and I think you're letting your hate overtake what the reality is there. A long ball cannot come into a penalty box and be uncontested. And Matic and Pogba just sat there, feet clamped to the ground like it was cement. And it was a simple header. And if you do that at any level, you're giving somebody a very good opportunity to score a goal. And we did. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough from the whole team, though. And I don't really want to highlight individuals. I haven't gone after any individual. I thought McTominay came on and was rubbish, but I felt sorry for him being thrown into that environment because Matic and Pogba had let us down. Jamie, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. Try somebody else. Try somebody else. Let's try this one. Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, hello.
Hello, Darryl.
Yeah, I can hear you.
How you doing?
Hi, I'm alright. Mark, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. What do you want to talk about?
You know, the last call that was on, what was his name?
Andy, I think.
Yeah. I agreed with some of the points that he made. I think it's disgraceful what fans are doing to their players these days, you know. If you're going to support your local football team, support them. Like, really encourage them to play well. Because seriously, it's shocking that all the United fans are criticising every single one of our players. I think it's disgraceful as a United fan. I'm a United fan. I support my club. Win, lose or draw. No matter how bad the players perform, I will continue to support them.
Darryl, it's your call, and I'm not saying this because I want to be argumentative, because I respect all calls, but I've got to say I totally disagree with that. And I've got to disagree with it, not because you've said that, but because I've always disagreed with it. I'm not one of those fans that win, lose or draw backs the players, because I think the players have a responsibility to the fans to put in a performance. And yesterday, so many of them didn't. But I respect that you are, and there were a lot of fans who would totally agree with you. I'm just literally giving my opinion and what some other fans might think as well. Because I thought yesterday some of the performances were poor. I mean, I use Paul Pogba as an example. I mean, what do you think it is with Pogba? Because he can't be that bad like he was yesterday and against Tottenham. And regardless of the position, he should still be putting in a better performance than that. So, what's your reasoning behind that? Do you think?
Well, I agree with that. I mean, Paul Pogba sometimes, you know what players are like. Sometimes they'll have good games, sometimes they'll have bad games. But that's what players are like. You know, we can't afford to get rid of a player who cost us 85 million or so. And I think all this stuff that Jose Mourinho's doing, I mean, he's done that since he left Inter Milan, which you mentioned earlier. Seriously, I don't know what on earth is going on with him. It's stupid what he's doing. And with the Paul Pogba side, I actually think he's a decent player in our team. And I don't think that he should be messed around so much like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's stupid.
I think you're right. I mean, I think him and Martial get dropped too quickly when other players are, allowed to just keep playing even when they've not been that great. I.e. Matic has been not great for 3 months. He plays every game. Probably plays too many games. He looks absolutely exhausted. On Mourinho, what's your sort of long-term feeling towards Mourinho? Do you think he's going to be the successful manager, or do you think he will end up being forced out because he doesn't fit with Manchester United fans' thirst for good football?
Well, it's 50-50, you know. If we don't finish in the Champions League spaces, I don't think he'll stay. But, you have to put trust into your managers, no matter which manager you have. Jose Mourinho, out of all the managers that we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, he has been our best manager by far at the minute, right? If you're going to get rid of him, seriously, what is wrong with our club if that happens? Because our club will keep going downhill. And with Jose Mourinho's side, he's one of the world's greatest managers. We have to remember that. Oh, he's not had the best of times at Manchester United, but you have to show respect for your managers and your players. And you have to just say, you know, all right, Jose Mourinho might not be the best manager for us, but he's 10 times better than Louis van Gaal and David Moyes.
He is.
So I think he'll stay regardless.
I'll tell you what, I might not have totally agreed with your first point, but that point I totally agree with. I think we've got to back this manager. He has been successful compared to where we were with the last previous managers. I don't know where it's going to end, but there's definitely progress month on month. Whether it's enough progress for some fans or not, there is. If he was not to get Champions League football this season, would that be enough for him to go for you, or would you still be giving him another summer and another year in the Europa League?
It's like a 50-50 choice there, you know. But as a United fan, I'd hate to say this, but I don't think Jose would stay if that happened. And I don't want to be spending another 2 seasons in a row being in the... Sorry, not 2 seasons in a row, I do apologise. I don't want to be 2 out of 3 seasons in a row being in the Europa League. Because seriously, the Europa League is for the pub league clubs. Seriously, I mean, Arsenal are a pub team at the minute. They're probably the worst team in the league by far if they got there, you know. But if we did get there, I don't think it'd be too bad because we'd probably win it again and get back to the Champions League. So regardless, we'll get Champions League in the next 2 seasons at least.
Thanks for the call. Really, really enjoyed it and really enjoyed the opinion. So please do call in again, Daryl.
Yep, I will. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Daryl. Great call. Please do drop a like on the video for all our callers tonight. I love the Skype show because you get all these different opinions. And why Champions League predictions, says Kurabel. Yeah, give us your Champions League predictions in the live comments. I'm still saying quarterfinals. I said quarterfinals minimum, and that means we've got to beat Sevilla. I think anything beyond that's a bonus. I sort of thought at one point maybe we could get to the semi-finals, and I certainly think that maybe we can. But I think quarterfinals has to be the minimum for this club. Just by the way, there's a link in the video description for the That's Football channel. I think it's just below the first paragraph. If you click that, subscribe to That's Football. It's going to take you 2 seconds to do it. Just click that link and subscribe, because tomorrow night at 7:45, I'm live on Not the United Stand. I'm live on That's Football doing a watch along for Juventus versus Spurs. There's some really good Champions League games that I'll be watching over the next 2 midweeks. So tomorrow night there won't be an 8 o'clock live show. There'll be an 8 o'clock pre-recorded show for people to watch that if they want to. But I will be live on That's Football doing a Juventus versus Spurs watch along in Italy. I won't be in Italy. Fingers crossed Dybala will play, because it's a bit of a scouting mission as well for us. But I want to watch that game, Juventus Spurs, tomorrow night, 7:45 on That's Football. The link is in the video description. Click subscribe, get your bell on, and join us tomorrow night, because that's where we're going to be. And I want to see a lot of you over there with us. Let's take another call. Let's see what others have got to say. And I'm going to try and get hold of Damien. Can you hear me, Damien?
Yes, I can. How are you doing? You all right, Dan?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad.
Not spoke to you for a while. What do you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about the transfers and also the players that we've got out on loan. One of the most frustrating things I don't know if you'll agree, if you buy somebody like Sanchez, before you buy that player, you must know where you want to integrate that player into the team. I'm not happy that Martial, who's been performing very, very well, being our best player this season, attacking-wise, playing on the left, that he's now being moved out the way to make a makeshift for a player that we didn't actually need, for Sanchez to go on the left and take his position. Now, we were looking for a right winger or right midfielder in Perisic, because we know we're weak in that field. We haven't got a proper natural right midfielder. So why would you then buy a Sanchez to move Martial to the right when you know that's not his best position and there's no need to do it?
I'm totally with you on this, Damien. I mean, in a sentence, you are basically buying a player to replace your best player when there's already loads of other areas that we need to improve.
Exactly. I can understand possibly putting him at number 10. I could possibly understand if you want to put him on the right side of midfield. I wouldn't have had an issue with getting Sanchez if you're going to do that. but I think it's brought a lot of disruption to the team and the rhythm. And also, I know you've all been talking about that identity, but that's going to bring a bit of confusion as well, because you're moving too many things at once. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously that's correct me if I'm wrong, that's aimed at the manager. I mean, what's your thoughts on Mourinho as we go through another little area where people are questioning him as Manchester United manager? I mean, I still think he's the right man. I can't guarantee it's going to be an end that's successful, but I still think he's the right man at the moment. What do you think?
I back the manager, don't get me wrong, but there has been a lot of times he does really frustrate me in his decisions, which I think no matter what manager you do get out there, you're always going to get frustrations with them and not agree and disagree. That's why people are entitled to their opinion. The only thing what I would say, just based on some of the comments today, if we was not to qualify for the Champions League, he would have to go for me. If we was, I would like to give him another season to bring us that platform. I think we've shown improvements, but obviously I can't really talk about that yet because we're not at the end of this season. It looks like an improvement, but if we dropped out of the top 4, ultimately it's not an improvement. So, and you know, the manager has to take the consequences for that. That's what happens to any manager when you're at a club like United, and we can't go back into the Europa League again. That's just 2 steps forward and 10 steps back. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting next few months for Manchester United. I've got to ask you about Pogba. It's the title of the show. I had a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a rant. I just feel that the blame that Mourinho gets for Pogba, maybe there's an element of it, but I don't think you can blame Mourinho for the effort and performances Pogba's put in yesterday and against Spurs. A player of his value and talent to put in performances like that, I think that's got to rest firmly on his shoulders. What do you think's going wrong with Pogba?
Totally agree with you there. I think he's throwing his dummy at the Prem. You know, you're an expensive player that we bought £90 million. He seems like he's sulking a bit. I don't blame the manager at all for his performances. That's down to the player at the end of the day. The only question what I've got is, if he was injured, then come out and say he was injured, but that player then shouldn't be jeopardising the team and should just say, look, I'm not feeling right for today, and give somebody else a chance to be in there that's feeling 100%. If he wasn't injured, then that was an awful performance. So either way, how you look at it, it's one or the other. There's, you know, that player has to take the responsibility for it. I can't, no, I'm not going to blame the manager for that at all. The only thing I'd say is if they've got an internal issue between both of them, they need to sort that, you know, personally between themselves and keep it professional, similar to what Sir Alex Ferguson would do. Keep that behind closed doors and deal with it. But yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just ask you quickly about that one as a last point. Mourinho coming out and saying he wasn't injured. I sort of felt he was injured because subconsciously we'd heard that maybe he was injured before the game, and certainly when I saw him coming out for the second half on the TV, he didn't look happy. Maybe he's just unhappy because he's sulking, but maybe he's... Why would Mourinho not say he was injured if he was injured? It doesn't make any sense. And also, like you just said there, if Pogba was injured, surely he would have leaked it out that he was, because you wouldn't want that performance on your shoulders. If you're injured, you'd want people to know, because it was so bad. It reflects badly on him.
Yeah, interestingly though, during the game, I don't know if you noticed, I think it was just before the end of the first half, Mourinho did actually put his thumb sort of up towards him to say, "Are you okay?" So something, you know, what can we say? We went with the player. The player said that he was okay and replied back to say, "Yeah, I'm fine." Well, if you're fine, you need to perform better than that. And that's all we can go on. It's the player's fault. Perform better than. You've said that you're okay. You're not being forced to go out there whilst carrying an injury. You're being asked, "Are you okay?" You've responded that you're okay. Now do a better job than that. Do you know that game, he actually done the least amount of sprints that he's ever done? Just for the record.
I think I agree with SB. I think he was carrying an injury, but I just don't understand why we wouldn't say that. Damien, really good to have you back on. Really enjoyed the call, and please do call in again.
Sorry, Mark, one question just before you go. I just wanted to point this out as well. We've got McTominay sitting on the bench. You know, he's brought him on. I'm not blaming the player or anything, but does that not make you question why we didn't keep Pereira and Fosu Mensah? I thought I'd leave you with that.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? I think we're going to agree on this one.
Yes, we should have kept them because that's the type of game that we would have needed them for, and it looks like we're a little bit short in that area. And put McTominay out on loan. That, to me, is the best way that you should have went about it. But yeah.
I'd add Twansibi into that equation as well. I think Twansibi, Pereira and Fosu Mensah, why they're not involved, I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, no worry.
Thanks, Damien. Please do call in again. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me as well. Take care.
Cheers, pal. Take care. Please, really good call. We've had some really good calls tonight. I'm not surprised. That's what you get on the Skype show. So thanks to everybody who's called in. Please do drop a like for them as well, because they were a collectively great bunch, as we always have. And if you didn't get on, please do keep trying, because we do want to get as many people on the United Stand as possible. So thanks everybody who has called in and dropped that like. We've had over 500, so keep liking. I just want to give out a couple of messages as well. The live comments, I don't say it enough. I try to say it a lot, but I don't say it enough. You're bloody fantastic. So thanks everybody. I do read it. The great thing about the Skype show is while I'm listening, I do get to read all your comments as well, more than I do when I'm on my own. So fantastic on the live comments. Brilliant from the moderators as well. Andrew's been on there. I've seen snaps, tubes. George has been on there, I think, as well. Jared. I don't know whether we've seen Brevi tonight or Matthew McFadden, but they're all fantastic, and they deserve a big shout out, because the trouble with when United are not doing so great is it can get quite tempestuous on the live comments, and I promote that. I've got no problem with people being frustrated, disagreeing with what I've got to say. Obviously, if you're abusive, you will get your comments deleted, and that's quite rightly so, whether it's against me or anybody else. But not disagreeing with the comments, that's fine. Just put it in an eloquent way, which 99.9% of you do. So thank you for that. Please do download the FOTMOB app. It's a football app, which I was showing at the start there. You can get all your Manchester United. Follow Manchester United on there. You get all your news, all your stats. It's a really good app. It's free to download. The link's in the video description. They're looking to team up with us for the rest of the season, which will mean some shirt giveaways and stuff like that. So the more people download it and support it, the better that is for the United Stand and the community, because we like to give shirts away and stuff like that. So please do download that. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock there will be a pre-record that I'll put up. It's a good show, so I'm not recorded it yet, but it'll be good. That'll go up at 8 o'clock. If you want to join me live tomorrow night, I'm going to be on That's Football watching Juventus versus Spurs, Champions League. Bit of a scouting game. You never know. We could get one of these in the next round if we get through Sevilla. Flex is going to be in Sevilla next week. That's our game, doing fan cams. So United Stand is going international. We were in Munich last week. We're in Sevilla next week. But we'll be on That's Football. I will be tomorrow night at 7:45 kickoff, Juventus versus Spurs. So join me for that on a watch along on That's Football. The link is in the video description for That's Football as well. Basically, just take 5 seconds of your life to click the That's Football link in the video description. It will take you straight through. Subscribe, turn your bell on, and then you can join me tomorrow night. So do that. We're going to do a lot of those on That's Football. I think we're doing Real Madrid PSG on Wednesday as well. But also, yeah, do download the FOTMOB app. If you can support us on both those things, that would be fantastic. And I'll see you tomorrow night live or on here at 8 o'clock on the pre-record, which I think you'll enjoy the show we've got for you as well. So thanks, everybody. Keep spreading the word. Fantastic on the live comments. Fantastic callers. You're all great. Keep liking. Keep subscribing. We're getting very close to 192,000 subscribers as well. That road to 200k. To me, it feels like a long road, but we've already done 2,000 in the last week, so we might get there by like sort of middle of March, which would be amazing. Thanks everyone, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Don't forget to join me on That's Football if you are going to watch the Juventus Spurs game and you want to do a watch along with me. Link in the video description for that. And like I say, please do download the FOTMOB app. It's free and it's on Apple and Android. Speak to you all soon. And if you didn't watch the video at lunchtime, go on to the United Stand videos. We've got all the fan cams on there, and I did do a video at lunchtime which had the football pitch with the players and the tactics and where we're going wrong and all that jazz, and I know some of you like that. So just keep getting involved. You're brilliant. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all soon. We will do a live party if we hit 200,000 for end 2018. I think we can definitely do that. We'll do some giveaways as well. And the United Stand Army, it's the best Manchester United community out there. So you're all fantastic. Keep getting involved. Keep spreading the word. Thanks everyone for watching.